hey. 7 o'clock. It's Wednesday. You know what time it is. Jeremiah Bullfrog cuts it up. Clean eating coming at ya. How to stay healthy, how to balance your diet. We're going to run through a couple of different ways to clean eat. We're doing some vegan, some plant-based. We're going to do some ketogenic. We'll touch upon a little paleo. We're going to get it all, put it all into one big little ball and feed it to you with a little olive oil and salt, if you know what I mean. So here we go. What we usually like to do around this time is, Jose, drop an intro for everybody, please. Hey, 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 hey! Here we go. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Live. The lab. 7 o'clock. Isolation station. The isolation station. What's good? You know what that means. Here we go. Here we go. Go. Well, okay. And just like that, here it is one more time. Wednesday, 7 o'clock, Jeremiah Bullfrog cuts it up. No longer in the isolation station, but still quarantined. So if you see all the fresh produce around, some fresh veg, you may have guessed we're going to get into it with a little clean eating today. This is something that's near and dear to my heart. For the last 18 months, I've really been focusing on my health. And for me, it starts with everything that I eat, everything I put in my body. And I've played around with a couple of different things. I'm still kind of tweaking my diet or my eating lifestyle, as we like to say, so that I could find something that gives me a lot of energy naturally, something where I feel great, my body feels good, and I'm able to perform, you know. That's what it's all about. And I found like these things go hand in hand. The better that I eat, the better I feel, the more I want to work or work out or exercise. The more I exercise, the better my body feels. So it's that cycle, right? And so I thought, you know, what better way than to kick off this clean eating lifestyle than to touch upon the keto diet, right? You probably heard that term quite a few times. Sometimes it sounds scary when you hear ketogenic. You know, don't want to go too far into the science. There's a ton of information out there. It's basically a low carb eating lifestyle. Keto specifically is high fats. So like 80% of your intake would be from fats, and then less than 10% from carbs. You know, you can tweak it a little. You can go 70, but generally you want to keep your carbs down. And that worked really well for me. It's a huge sacrifice, you know, pizza, pasta, bread, those are things that I love. And then, you know, sacrificing for so long, I tried to, start putting those back into my everyday a little by little to see how I would react. And I mean, not too bad. You know, I got a little work to do still, but you know, it is what it is. Some sacrifices have to be made. That's life. And so around this time, I do like to say, if you're with me, whether you've rocked with me on the live stream before, if you know Jeremiah Bullfrog cuts it up, drop it in the comments below. Let me know where you're at. Let me know maybe your preferred eating lifestyle. If you're looking to hear some info on something specific, we are definitely touching upon like some vegan, plant-based. I've got 2 recipes for you today. They're both vegan. I have been eating personally plant-based now, no dairy, no meat, no chicken. I do some seafood though, because I love me some seafood. Shouts to Bev, thanks for joining. Who else is out there? Drop it in the comments. Also at this time, take this time to subscribe to the channel, please. We got some really cool stuff coming up for this season. Been working real hard on like how to bring it to you in small little packages. Check the description. As always, I leave a couple recipes for you. We're gonna kick it off with a keto recipe. This one's on the light side. It's still, for us, it's in Miami, it's still summer, it's still ragingly hot. I understand the weather is changing into what you all call fall. Miami just doesn't know this season. So I'm going summery. I'm gonna go like a little version of tabbouleh. When I was eating keto, I'm just gonna start cranking it up. You may see a couple different angles here because Jose likes to switch it up on y'all. So when I was eating keto, this is something that was like my go-to. Dr. Carb, thanks for joining us. Jonathan, Pam and Ira, shouts to Queens. Brian, all right. Here we go, guys. Just like we do, we're gonna cook, we're gonna talk. If you have questions, drop it. Jose is gonna let me know, and we'll try to answer all your questions, guys. And so just starting off with a little cucumber. Again, this is a tabbouleh recipe. It's not gonna have any grains in it, so it'll be very low carb friendly. It is full of just fresh, raw vegetables. It's traditionally like a Middle Eastern salad. It's usually with a grain. The traditional one is like a bulgur wheat. Here we're going to swap out the grain for a little bit of cauliflower. And I also have a really cool substitute for grains. I found this product and I've been a huge fan of it for quite some time now. Miracle Noodle. And what it is, it's a substitute for like a pasta or a grain, and it's delicious in its own right. For me, Miracle Noodle has an amazing texture, right? So it's referred to in Japanese as a shirataki, and what that, it's kind of like a fancy term. Don't want to, scare you guys off because this is just, like a very simple sort of product that you can go into the supermarket and pick it up. So for this first recipe, we're going to use this one. It's shaped like rice. And I'm cutting up my veg to be small so that everything kind of fits on a fork or a spoon if you're me. And it makes for nice, easy eating. Shouts to Michelle. How you doing? Michelle knows what I'm talking about when I say Miami's still sweltering in the 90s, still feels like 100. Our summer runs till like Halloween, basically. And so, I like to keep it light. For me, it's hard to get into fall cookery. When everyone's kind of braising these dishes, we're still sweating here. And so, keeping it nice and light. This recipe, again, you can find it in the description below. It's super easy. It's something you could put together. I'm making a portion of like 3 or 4. So if you guys are into doing into the meal prep, this is right up your alley. That's another thing I find if you're trying to eat well, right? If you're trying to be healthy and you want to stay away from fast foods and these convenience items, what you have to do is put in the work. You got to push a knife. You've got to start with whole. You got to start with whole foods, right? What does that mean? You're buying real vegetables. Of course, nowadays you can get them a lot pre-cut already for you. But, if you do the work, say it takes you 20 minutes to make this salad, and you can make enough to feed yourself, either like a snack or a lunch, or, it even can accompany your dinner. You can make enough for 3-4 days, easy. If you're feeding a family, you can probably stretch it to 2 different days. So just like that, we diced up some cucumber. I generally like to take the seeds out of the cucumbers. They are a little more bitter. So nothing fancy, just a quick dice. And so again, the tradition of tabbouleh is like a bulgur wheat salad. You would cook the bulgur and then toss in tons of olive oil, lots of lime juice, season up with salt, maybe some garlic, maybe some onion. I'm not doing any raw onion on this because I like it to sit, and sometimes onion just gets overpowering. That's just personal preference. And then we're gonna we'll plate it up. We'll make it look pretty, right? Guys, are you with me so far? What do you think about tabbouleh, huh? Has anyone tried a ketogenic diet? Has anyone tried miracle noodles? Drop in the comments. Let's talk. Let me know. And so just moving right along, this is something you may find it in some traditional salads. For me, it's a no-brainer. Radish. This is just a simple breakfast radish. Radish is really, really low in carb. So when you're eating like on a sort of like restricted diet, right? Whether it's keto, whether it's paleo, I'm going to talk more about keto because that's right in my wheelhouse. When I was eating keto, I was tracking my macronutrients every day, right? I was using an app where I would plug in my meals, and I knew exactly what my calorie count was. And so towards the end of the day, when I was getting close to sort of like my calorie restriction, I could plan ahead and I knew what I could eat. For me, that was one of the biggest changes in my life. When you start to pay attention to what you put in your mouth from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, sometimes you would really be surprised. A lot of times it's like sugary drinks, if you're drinking like a lemonade or a Gatorade or you like a couple of beers, you'd be shocked how much that it really, really adds up. Another thing for me was drinking my morning coffee, like the Miami style. It was like 6 shots of espresso. I was using 2 tablespoons of sugar and throwing like half a can of evaporated milk in there. Man, it was delicious, but it's like 600 calories. So cut that out with the swiftness. Now I'm brewing coffee. I do like a pour over technique and I just drink it black. That was a huge help for me as well. Brian's looked into keto, but he's not looking at 6 different meals a day. Ira asking about the miracle noodle. So this is made out of what's called konjac. It's derived from a plant. Konjac is like a root. And so, like, personally, when I was doing molecular gastronomy, right, like in the early 2000s, cooking in these fancy kitchens, like Wiley Dufresne from WD-50, he was using konjac to make, different textures. If you can play around with it enough, it's a real cool thing to have in the kitchen. You basically take a liquid and you heat it up to sort of suspend the hydrocolloid in the liquid, right? And then you could pipe this liquid at a certain temperature, and it'll form a gel. So I've actually done konjac noodles before, or shirataki noodles. We used to do them like in this calcium base, so they were real nice and pliable and flexible. I could tell you it is a lot of work. And then, you know, when I found this product on the market, I was like, wow, that's a game changer. Because if you have the right machinery, you could just sort of extrude whatever shape you want. You know, Miracle Noodle's pretty cool because they have the rice shape. They have a couple of different noodle sizes, like a fettuccine, a spaghetti, an angel hair. And, you know, you have a little diversity. You know, when I would cook for the family, they would get the real deal spaghetti, and I would just take the sauce and put whatever shape I wanted. And so, you know, it makes it a little, you know, more convenient. You know, it does not have the taste of pasta, but, you know, there's the sacrifice, right? It still tastes delicious if you're adding it to a sauce. I'm going to show you a couple of tips today that I picked up on how to use the product. And, you know, hopefully you guys find it and use it in your kitchen. And so just like that, while we're rambling, we got some radish. It's going in the bowl. Jose, how we looking on the two-shot, my man? I forgot to ask. It's always an exciting part of the show when we find out how the two-shot is. Said good, good. All right. Moving right along. So we've got radish, we've got cucumber. We're going to go with some tomato. We're not going to go crazy tomato. Tomato is a bit higher in calories. When I was eating keto, I would eat like 5 grape tomatoes. And yes, I would count them. You know, obviously it's a great source of vitamin C. Tomatoes are great to have in your diet, but when you're eating keto, you kind of have to watch out. So I'm doing 1 clove of garlic. I'm going to do it really, really, really fine. And then I'll show you another trick that I do with my garlic to kind of tame some of that raw spice. Let's go for one of these guys. So I like to take the garlic by itself, and then I start to make my sauce, right? You can call it sort of like, lack of a better term, maybe it's like a vinaigrette, right? To dress this salad, to dress these veg. So now I'm gonna go in with salt on my radish and cucumber mix. I'm gonna do a little salt on my garlic. And then straight away into the garlic, right? You guys can see that on its own. This is gonna get some fresh lemon juice. And so the acid from the lemon juice helps to sort of tame, right? Kind of cooks in its own way, and using chemistry, it is going to cook the garlic. It takes a little bit of the bite off of it. What I also have, if you can see that, is I have some of this garlic confit. I also save the oil from this garlic, and it is super delicious. You know, when you cook garlic, it's a lot. It brings out the sweetness. So I'm going to flatten this out. You can see how tender that is, and just give this a quick chop. And so, you know, something like this, you could see it's really not taking me long at all. You know, while I'm entertaining you folks, hopefully enjoying what we're doing, I'm also making a beautiful salad. And again, you know, it's going to be enough salad to feed like, I would say like 6 servings, 6 to 8 servings, depending on the size. So, you know, you get the knife out, you get some fresh produce, and you go to work. And then you'll be rewarded, right, for a couple of days even. So we've got our lemon juice garlic mixture, we've got our fresh vegetables. Now what we want to do is kind of put it all together. So let me show you what this miracle noodle rice looks like. Hey Jose, how about a miracle in Miami? here's my inspiration. Beautiful day. Took the bicycle out, went over to the market down the block, picked up some shirataki noodles. So Brian, you're absolutely right. Miracle noodle is a shirataki noodle. Same, it's just like a fancy name for it. All right. So this is what I do with these bags. I like to just cut them open and then rinse them. Let me check this. I think they've kind of worked with the techniques now. I think just as technology gets better and better, they used to put calcium in these packs. You know, I've been eating this kind of noodle for over 10 years. So it used to have this real bitterness to it. And then what I like to do is just have a strainer, right? And then I rinse all the liquid out of the bag. That's important, right? And then I like to just flush it just like this. It's the same technique if you're like washing a lot of sushi rice, but you can see this texture. It's really cool. It's this jelly. And so on this recipe, I'm going to show you how to use that sort of texture. I'm rinsing this rice off to the side. I'm going to show you how to use that texture to your advantage. You know, when you're eating something, particularly like a salad where it's got a bunch of ingredients in it, the more different textures you can go with, the more excited you are going to be to eat it, right? And the way that works is it keeps your senses sort of like interested, for lack of a better term. You know, there's certain combinations of textures that really set you off. You know, like one of the ones off the top of my head is like when you're eating potato chips, for example. So it's a crunch and it's salt and it's fat. It's like something that is super addicting. So if you can try to mimic that, right, add some crunch to your salads, you know, you're gonna go a long way. So here's another cool product that I found that I keep in the freezer. This is cauliflower rice. My shirataki is just about rinsed. So this is, I keep these in the freezer. I still eat this all the time. There's a bunch of different brands out there. I found that the frozen ones are amazing, you know, because you could just pull them out at any time. I throw it in the microwave and I cook it for 5 minutes and it's cooked, it's done. So in our bowl, in our salad, we're going straight away with this cauliflower rice, and it's about the same size as the shirataki noodle. And it's very reminiscent of the original grain in tabbouleh, which is a bulgur. You know, you could do, you know, like with quinoa, you know, for people who out there who are eating grains or super seeds, you could definitely make this tabbouleh with some quinoa. By all means, if you're eating wheat, go with some bulgur. And so you just steam it, drain it off. I like to hit it with olive oil and salt while it's still warm. Same with this. This was just cooked, so I'm gonna hit this with some good olive oil. And it's quite a bit of olive oil, so you need to make sure your olive oil is delicious. It's not overly bitter. Find one that you like. We're gonna hit it with salt again. So what salt does is it counteracts the bitterness, right? So sometimes, you know, certain veg or certain, even grains have a natural bitterness to it. And so let's just take a look here. Super cool. If you could see that in the shot. Here's our shirataki that's been drained. Jose, tell me, is this a good shot on the old shirataks, on the old miracle noodle rice? How's that looking, dude? I just like to drain all that. Better? Sorry guys, trying to nail this blindly. Uh-oh. Trying to get a little guidance here. Top of the bowl. All right, here we go. So just like that, there's the texture. You can see all these little granules. They're not sticky at all. Cool. and they're almost completely drained. That's why I like to use this, this little tammy. And then I go straight away into my salad because I just keep building my flavors. I'll show you another technique on the next recipe that, you know, if you're going to cook that shirataki, the miracle noodle, you can kind of dry it out. So here we go. This is looking lovely already. Chock full of wonderful colors and textures. It's got some crunch. It smells great. It smells fresh like a garden. And that's what you want, right? So in with our lime juice, we go to the salad. Again, we're just building this cauliflower tabbouleh. So fresh lemon juice, a little raw garlic, a little cooked garlic confit, and some salt. It needs a little more olive oil just to keep everything wet. Olive oil has a wonderful mouthfeel as well, right? It kind of coats your tongue. I like to use one that's not overly bitter, it's not overly spicy, it's just like an everyday blend. Lots of black pepper, nice fresh black pepper. And I'm gonna go in with I'm gonna go in here with some fresh tomato now. So again, not too much. These are wonderful little heirloom grape tomatoes. You can certainly dice these up. I'm just gonna give them a quick quartering. And they look amazing in the salad. Guys, how we doing so far? What do you think of clean eating? What do you think? Are you going to make cauliflower tabbouleh in your kitchen? Let me know. Drop it in the comments. Firing right away. Adding a little fresh tomato here. Super sharp knife, just a blast through these suckers. And then when you salt the tomatoes, it kind of releases their natural water. And, you know, it just adds a whole nother element to this fresh salad. This is one of my favorites, guys. It's something that you guys can bang out. And then you have it for the week. I'm going to go a couple more tomatoes. This is a pretty big salad we got here. And then, you know, the cool thing again about doing a larger quantity is you're going to have enough to eat, you know. It's something that'll last in your fridge all week. You know, the vegetables that are in it are not going to go rancid. And, you know, just keep it nice and cold and you guys will be good. So here we go, finishing it up. Cauliflower tabbouleh. Now all it needs is a ton of fresh herbs. It's got that miracle noodle, the rice shape already in there. It's got some cauliflower rice. I've got this wonderful parsley here. The parsley has already been rinsed. And this is what I like to do with parsley. You know, could you sit there and pick it, each leaf? Absolutely. It'll be a much finer product. But I like to sort of tightly bundle this sucker up and then just come down real nice on the leaves. Sort of like a chiffonade. When I get down to the stems, I stop. You save this. This is still good, just not for your salad. You know, these thicker stems, the stems are sort of bitter. Sometimes they're unpleasant, so I like to take them out. So here it is, a real nice fine chop on the parsley. And then in that's gonna go. I like to do this at the end. You know, the one thing about fresh herbs is you need to make sure you're using a nice sharp knife to cut them. Otherwise, you're just sort of beating them and you're sort of just killing them. They'll turn black and that's unpleasant. So just a quick chop, nothing crazy. You know, if you want to go rough chop, you want to pick your parsley leaves whole, it's up to you guys. Choose your own adventure. So in we go with a ton of fresh parsley. Use nice little bench scraper to keep on my booze block so it scoops up all the veg, goes straight away, right? See how easy that is? Clean board, parsley's in. Give a quick wipe here. And now this is something kind of cool too. I've got some fresh mint. Mint is something that is real nice to add. I'm just gonna do a quick little pick of the tops here. Nothing crazy. You know, in a lot of Middle Eastern dishes and countries, fresh mint goes a long way. It's really got this bright perfume to it that works really, really well in raw preparations. You know, it doesn't have to just be like for dessert or garnish. And then so again, I'm gonna make sort of like, I'll make 2 bundles. These are teeny little leaves. It's super fresh and fragrant. And so just a one time on the mint. That's a chiffonade. Nothing crazy. I'm not going super fine. This isn't, you know, this isn't Jean-Georges. You know, chef, maybe you should go a little more fine on your herbs. No, it's cool, you know, just give it a quick little chop. It does its job. No stems on the mint either, right? We do have standards. And then so boom, in we go, fresh mint, fresh parsley, and our tabbouleh is just about done. Let's take a look-see at what we got here. And then remember, I sort of alluded to that little textural paradise that we have building, right? That's what's gonna keep you entertained while you're eating. So I like to finish it with a couple of garnishes. Just gonna mix this all in. Can you guys see how beautiful this salad is looking? It smells amazing. Miracle noodle, rice, cauliflower tabbouleh, some fresh radish. Finish it off with some lemon. I'm gonna give it a little try. Let's see how we're doing so far. Woo-wee. Okay. It's getting there. I'm gonna hit it with a little more salt. I'm actually gonna hit it with a little more lemon. High acid, high salt, you know, AKA New York City style food. You know, that's sort of how I came up. That's how I learned to season things. You know, I do have a chef's palate and I like to push it. If you're salt sensitive, cut back on the salt. You know, but the fresh lemon really goes a long way. You know, on this salad too, if you wanted to hit it with just a touch of vinegar, that would work as well. You know, it's just like whatever your preference is. And I'm gonna give it another glug of this olive oil so it's nice and wet. And boom, there it is. Dish number 1. Let's take it to the plate. Let's do this bad boy here. Got a couple of leaves of fresh lettuce here. So I'm just gonna make a nice little bed. So you can kind of pick up, you know, if you want to do like a little wrap situation, or if you want to eat it like a proper salad with a fork and knife, you can do that as well. Jose, how are we looking on that, on the plating, sir? Are we nailing it there? This is just a little red leaf lettuce. It's nice and crisp. I like to rinse it and then keep it in paper towels, nice and cold. If it's a cold salad, make sure the lettuce is cold. You know, super important. Cool. All right. The red leaf lettuce does have a touch of bitterness. It's not overly bitter. You know, if it was overly bitter, I would season it also with some salt and some olive oil. This is kind of cool. These are the radish tops. They're very spicy. They're very crunchy. They have a ton of sand in them, you know. Radishes grow in like this sandy soil, so you really have to wash them like 3 times. But when you get a bunch of radishes and it comes with these greens, you know, seed to stem, use the whole thing. You know, super underrated. you can't really go to a supermarket and buy radish green bunches, unfortunately. A lot of times you can do, like turnips, turnip greens and stuff like that. So there it is, pro tip from Jeremiah Bullfrog. Buy radishes with the tops and use them because they are delicious. Let me see if I find one more. There we go. So a nice little natural spice. So nice little portion here. Look how beautiful. Look how nice. What do you guys think? Are we off to the races on clean eating? Drop it in the comments and let me know. Just a couple more radish leaves on top. Boom, boom, boom. Just like that. I am quite happy with this situation. A little cleanup job. And then what I was alluding to before, how do you add more texture? How do you keep this entertaining? This is one of my favorites. You guys have probably seen me go to this a couple times. This is a little fried garlic. So it's very, very crispy. And that's going to add that crunch to it while you're eating it. And it just kind of gets addicting. And it's super healthy for you. You can crush this whole bowl right here. And, very, very low carbs. Tons of fresh greens. Very healthy, right? This is shallots, same thing. Shallots just fried until they're crisp. And then that way you don't have that raw onion. Sometimes it gets real spicy and sometimes it's just hard to digest. Boom, there it is, guys. Cauliflower tabbouleh. And let me hit it with this. Jose, let me just hit it real quick and then Jose's gonna show you a little something. This is a little tahini. And it adds a great little mouthfeel. If you don't know what tahini is, it is just like a sesame paste. I happen to make this one myself. And Jose, show us a tahini scratch. sorry about that, guys. It does happen. This is a live cooking show. Sometimes, we need to test ourselves and make sure everyone's paying attention. So now we're back. I wanted to show you guys the scratch-made tahini. It's literally just sesame seeds. I've got that wet grinder. It's a chocolate mélange, which makes amazing tahini. And it adds a nice little fat to the dish. You can see the cauliflower tabbouleh plated up, looking beautiful. How smooth is the tahini? It could still go a little longer. I like to run it overnight. This is 3 hours. It's very much similar to peanut butter. This was made with sesame seeds with the hull, so more omega acids. Super, super healthy for you, right? And then so if you guys don't know, sometimes when you're eating peanut butter or peanuts, a lot of times they do cause like swelling. If you're eating a lot of nuts and stuff, sometimes they tell you not to eat too much peanuts. So sesame is great. It's a great source of nutrients as well. All right, so that's it. Dish number 1 in the bag. We're gonna move right along. I'm pushing into dish 2. Wanted to make sure I showed you another dish with the old miracle noodle. This time I want to cook it for you. So I'm gonna start with the angel hair. And I'm going to show you again the process, and I'll also show you a little tip and trick I like to do with the texture of it. Jose, what is miracle noodle?
Miracle noodles are made from the root of the konjac plant, and this plant is grown all over Southeast Asia, from China to Japan, Vietnam, Indonesia, but they were first used as a noodle in Japan, where they were invented by Buddhist monks way back 1400 years ago. And the noodle itself is 97% water and 3% plant fiber from the root of this plant.
Oh, there you go. There you have it, right? Straight from the doc, founder of Miracle Noodle himself, Dr. Cart. Shouts to Jonathan. Appreciate that little tip and insight into what miracle noodles are. So I've got the angel hair. It's one of my favorites for something like this, for a hot dish. And I found with experimenting that if you use it with a sauce that's very clingy, that it clings to the noodle, right? There's no starch involved, so you can't really, when you're cooking like traditional pastas, it's the starch that makes the sauce stick, right? That's how that works. Also, the way that traditional pasta is cut. So I found that if you use like a real thick sauce, it works better. So I'm rinsing these angel hair noodles. I like to rinse it for about a minute under cool water. I showed you that setup. It's the same deal. And then this time what we're going to do is we're going to heat up a pan, and it's going to be just what we call a dry pan. I'm not going to put anything in it. I do like to use a non-stick for this. And then you just dry off the noodle. So for this dish, we're doing the Miracle Noodle Angel Hair. And I like to add some texture. And here I like to add a little more nutrients, right? Clean eating, you've got to boost it up. Unfortunately, Miracle Noodle doesn't have much nutrients. It's just like fiber, it's a gel. So I like to boost it up with something that has minerals and vitamins. For me, squash is a great way. This is lower carb. It does have some carbs, so if you're eating carb restricted, do make sure you get your right portion size. And then this is what I did. I take the spaghetti squash, cut it in half lengthwise, scoop out the seeds, I wrap it in film, and then I microwave this sucker. If it's a bigger one like this, it takes about 7 minutes. If it's a smaller one, it takes about 5 minutes. If you set your microwave on high for 5 minutes, let's see if we get any steam trapped in here. It's cooled just enough. I threw this in just at the top of the hour. And so my noodles are rinsed. I am going to just let them start draining now. right? Again, I use this little setup. I've got the colander and the drain, and I like to just let it drain naturally as much as possible. And then so back to this sucker here, it's a cooked squash, and then you know, you could season it right in this sort of like natural bowl. So I like to hit it with olive oil, and again with some salt because it's got to taste good. Again, you're salt restricted, use less salt, don't use salt, it's fine. So if you could see this is really cool about spaghetti squash. Once it's cooked, I like to take a fork and run it end to end, and you get these really cool strands. Why do they call it spaghetti squash? Well, you know, take a look at this. Looks remarkably like spaghetti. And it's delicious. It has a natural sort of sweetness to it. And it's tons of beta carotene, so it's good for you. Again, clean eating, guys. If you're eating, you know, if you're eating your portion of vegetables every day with high fiber, you're not going to be as hungry. It's one of the things for me. Once I figured out that if I fill my body with mostly vegetables, there's not room for much more. Right, so there you can see it. My spaghetti squash is cooked, literally, quite literally. And now we're going to just make it taste good. So this is a real quickie. It's kind of like a 1, 2, 3 dish. I'm gonna take the noodles, dry them off into the pan, and then we're gonna start building the sauce. Let's just take a look at pesto presentation.
It's very easy to make miracle noodles. The first thing you do is you open the bag and you want to get the noodles to be nice and dry. So first you rinse them off, and then you place them in a pan to sort of heat the water off. Once they're completely dry, then you can add the sauce or the veggies or the protein and cook it with the rest of the recipe. That's the most important thing.
Pesto, and you got a little bonus there. That was my bad. That's how you use the noodles, right? So we rinse them, we dry them, now we go with sauce. Guys, a little trivia for you. If you're still hanging with me, drop it in the comments. What was the song? It's a pretty famous, well-known song on the last video. If you know that song, I'll send you a booze block. And so let's wrap it up, guys. Here's dish number 2, real quickie for you. I've got the angel hair noodles. I'm going to go in my pan that's just been heating up. And this is just a dry pan. And I'm giving it just a quick dry toss. And this, again, the whole reason behind this is just to dry these noodles out. You know, it does come in a liquid, right? And so I like to rinse that liquid off with fresh water. And then after I sort of let them drain naturally, I throw them in a pan. I like to use nonstick. And you can see the noodles don't stick together. And these are warming up nicely. You can see the steam and you can hear the water sizzling out. Jose, how's that angle on that? Should I bring it a little closer, or are we looking okay? Alright, let's fix that for a sec. So guys, real easy dish. You saw my pesto. I've done that one before. It's one of my favorites. You could do any kind of pesto you want. Here it is. It's nice and chunk. It's tons of fresh raw kale, and then the raw kale, you balance this bitterness out with salt. Gets a little raw garlic, which adds a wonderful pungency, and you're really developing flavors. I like lemon juice to get that acid, and now you're finding balance, and lots of oil. For me, on the oil, you want to go with something neutral, like some grapeseed oil or like a pomace olive oil. It is 2 cups of oil, so you got to make sure it's not bitter. Brian, ding, 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 fly to the bumblebee. You are correct, sir. You, my friend, have earned yourself a booze block. Congratulations. And so here it is, guys. I want to take it to the plate. We're just about dry here. You could see all this steam coming off these suckers, and it does tend to change the texture just a bit. You don't necessarily have to cook these per se, right? The product is sort of already ready to eat. This is just a little, I don't want to call it fancy, but we're just adding a little technique to it. And then in the back, I do have some hot water going. If you look below in the description, again, I wrote this recipe out. I've tested it before. It's a great recipe. This can serve 2 people very easily, so you got yourself a dinner. It's ready in like 20 minutes. Sort of like start to finish. And so these noodles are just about ready to start getting sauced. Let's just give it one quick little once over. Yep, I like what we're at here. Okay, and so now what I like to do is I'm going to take my squash and I'm going to incorporate that right into the pan. The squash is already cooked, but if you get the spaghetti squash in there, the 2 sort of commingle and make friend. And so if you don't really love the texture of spaghetti squash, adding these shirataki noodles is a wonderful way to sort of boost your flavor, right? Some people don't love the bounciness of the shirataki noodles. So hey, 2 for 1. By adding these 2 textures that are sort of contradictory, you're making yourself one new texture. And so I'm just being chefy here and mixing these up nice. Nothing too crazy. Doesn't it look nice? And so now I want to start building my sauce. So I'm going to cut the heat. And I'm going to go in with my pesto. I'm going to start with 1. I'll probably go in with 1 more. And just give this a toss. So with pesto, you don't want to lose that beautiful, bright, vibrant green color, because that's where all the nutrients are by sort of like cooking it, right? So I take it off the heat, add my pesto. Everything in here is hot. And so you can see the noodles start to turn green. And that's what we want. There's no need to hammer this over high heat. It's sort of like a finesse game from here on out. Oh, it smells delicious, that pesto with the raw garlic and the lemon. I put a little chili in there for a little spice, huh? A little spice is nice. What do you think, huh? Guys, tell me, are you still with me? We've got the kale pesto, angel hair shirataki, miracle noodles coming to the plate. Once again, thanks for rocking out. I really appreciate it. These are just some pumpkin seeds. They were in the pesto. Now I'm adding a little straight to the dish. Again, texture, right? So let's just take this, start making it look fancy. So I like to take my noodles and give them a little twirl twirl. I'm going to go right ahead into this squash because it looks so beautiful. And so you can see all these colors peeking out. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to hit this with just a touch, not even really like a tablespoon of some hot water. Mix it around again. That helps loosen up that pesto, right? And all your flavor is in your pesto. That's why you do all that hard work and make a pesto. I mean, I've got enough pesto, you know, for a couple of weeks. It freezes really well. Give this a try. Kind of nailed it. Great on the salt. Garlic comes through. And then here we go. Plating it up. Jeremiah Bullfrog cuts it up. 2 dishes on the live stream, showing you Miracle Noodle. Something you can do a little different. Eating clean, eating healthy. Guys, what's better than that? Brian, the Miracle Noodles do not need to be refrigerated, sir. They are shelf-stable product. And there it is, a little toasted pumpkin seed. Finish off the dish. I'm actually going to go with just a touch more of my amazing kale pesto. Guys, there it is. Clean eating. Jeremiah Bullfrog cuts it up. Another Wednesday. Appreciate y'all hanging out. Hope everyone has a good one. Keep watching the channel. Make sure you subscribe and ring that bell. We got a couple of surprises coming your way. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.